All right, so when we are looking at cold weather camping, or at least camping in cooler weather like in April or November and December, a few things we want to keep in mind. Uh, we lose a lot of body heat into the ground, whether it's conducted through your body or is radiated off your body into the ground. Um, so ideally, we want to stop that. And you get your big, thick sleeping bags, and they're not necessarily the only thing you need. We talk about a sleep system when we're talking about all of our full cold weather or cool weather camping gear. Um, what happens is you lay on top of a nice sleeping bag and you squish it down, and now you've just basically got a thin piece of fabric underneath you, insulating you from the ground, and it's not really that great. Um, to prevent loss from heat radiating off your body, you can get these Mylar sheets. You can get these ones, you get heavier duty ones. And you're going to want to lay this down first. I'm not going to fully unfold this because it's a pain in the butt to put back together. But you would lay that down, spread that out across the whole floor, or the floor of your tent, and that'll kind of radiate the heat from your body back up into your body. There is kind of a mixed theory on whether you want this and then your pad and then your sleeping bag, or if you want the pad and then this and then the sleeping bag. I prefer the radiant block underneath the pad, as when if you have it right against your sleeping bag and your body kind of loses moisture in the middle of the night, then you can kind of get some wet feeling underneath your body, and it kind of will be, it's just more damp, but it does keep it closer to you, so you're radiating more heat back. Depends how thick your pads are and how much moisture is in the air. So once you get your radiant block down, and that's optional, it helps, but yeah, how much it helps, I don't really know. Um, so again, you want to kind of insulate yourself from the ground. These cheap blue pads, these aren't very comfortable to lay on, but you can get these from big box stores for really, really cheap. And they're not comfortable, but when you lay it out on the ground, it gives you, that was a lot noisy, gives you a layer of insulation underneath you to help kind of keep that from coming out. So you can use multiple of these, you can use one of these and something else, just depends on what you have and how much you're willing to spend. Um, so these pads will help keep you a little bit warmer. Um, these are closed cell pads. You can also get these things like Thermarest. These are a little more comfortable. They have got these ridges. This is a Thermacell ridge rest. Um, so this helps keep you a little more comfortable. But I slept on one of these for a long time when I was at Scout, but a little more expensive as the trade-off there. And then you can get a self-inflating pad like this, and you can lay that out. So if this pad isn't thick enough to keep you warm, use something like this cheap blue one. You lay the self-inflating pad on top of it, and that will kind of give you a little more protection from the temperature loss into the ground, but also more protection from rocks and roots and whatever's underneath you. So that's kind of the ground system. You have the radiant block, you've got your pads, one or two, depending if it's really cold, the more insulation, especially if the ground's frozen. Probably not a big deal for Cub Scouts, but if you're for older Scouts, it could be a concern. And then your sleeping bags. So sleeping bags are rated for certain temperatures, and the rating is not a lie, but the temperature rating is perhaps exaggerated. So we have, in this case, this is a 35-degree bag, but if you have a 5-degree bag or a 10-degree bag, that is what we call the survival rating, not necessarily the comfort rating. So a 35-degree bag, add 20 degrees to that. So this will be comfortable in 55, 60-degree weather, not 35-degree weather. You're going to be alive, but cold. Same with a 10-degree bag, add 20 degrees to it. So a 10-degree bag is a 30-degree bag for comfort level. You can always enhance your sleeping bags. So if you have a fleece blanket, stuff the fleece blanket inside there, and just kind of do that to add insulation. You can put blankets on top, blankets inside. They sell liners that can go in there, and they'll add a little bit of warmth. I have basically a thin fleece sleeping bag that I stuff inside my sleeping bags to add another little layer, and it's just like a fleece blanket you'd find anywhere, but it's shaped like a sleeping bag. Just adds a little extra. And you also want to make sure that you change your clothes completely when you are getting ready at night, because your body, it's wet. You sweat during the day, you'll have moisture from just breathing during the day, and that'll collect in the clothing. So change your socks, change your pants and everything, get into your pajamas. Some people say it's not good to keep clothes on in your bed at night because but I don't really believe that. Loose fitting clothes is what's gonna helpful. So if you have like loose fitting long pants or something, you don't want anything tight and constrictive because it reduces the blood flow, and then you're not getting as much blood, and toes are gonna get a little chilly. So loose fitting clothes will help you with that. The liner in there, you can always fill a Nalgene bottle or something similar with warm or hot water and stick that at the bottom of the bag, and that'll help keep your toes a little warmer. And you might want to wear a hat because your head's gonna be sticking out of the top of the sleeping bag. For pillows, whatever works for you. I tend to get oversized sleeping bags. This one's extra wide, so I can fit a full-size pillow in this. That's not exactly ultralight or hiking friendly, but it does work for just kind of general, general camping around with car camping. As scout leaders, so for the scouts, whatever they have and that what works. The scout leaders, we are responsible for the safety of our scouts. So whatever you need to do to make yourself comfortable, do that, because we need to be alert so we can pay attention to the scouts the next day. We need to be alert so we can drive the scouts home the next day. So if that means you have a giant air mattress and that's what you need to sleep on at night to be comfortable and get a good night's sleep, do that. In cold weather, just be concerned about the pocket of cool air that's going to be underneath you. It might insulate you from the ground a lot more, but you're going to have that cold air circulating underneath. So we're going to look at kind of the self-inflating insulated pads. Some of these modern pads, even the modern fully inflatable ones, have a lot of insulation on them. There's an R value to the pads. It's the same as the R value in the walls of your house or whatever. So you have your radiant barrier, your pad, maybe another insulating pad underneath that, your sleeping bag, and then with additional blankets if necessary. Just other kind of little tips. If you're inside the sleeping bag or inside the tent at night, make sure that there are some vents open. If you have all things zipped up completely, then all the moisture from your breath that it kind of comes off your body as you sleep is going to pull up in there, and you're just going to wake up damp, and then it's going to be cooler in the morning than necessary. So kind of leave the vents cracked, that much. Yeah, there you go, that much. Just enough to get some air moving through there. If your tent has a lot of mesh, then it'll be doing it automatically. You don't need to worry about that. But some of the cooler weather tents, the 3-season, 4-season tents, they have the windows that close up completely with no mesh. So you need to make sure you have the ability to flush that moisture out at night. And socks on your feet, and also your clothes for the next day. It's never fun to crawl out of a warm sleeping bag and put on ice cold clothing. So take your clothes for the next day, stuff it in your sleeping bag. I usually shove it down the bottom where my feet are, and that'll kind of be warm in the morning, and you can put on some nice warm clothing and get out of your nice warm sleeping bag into the cooler air, and it's not as bad. So those are just little quick tips on staying a little bit warmer when it gets to cool temperatures. There's some other stuff when it gets really cold if you're camping in midwinter, but as Cub Scouts, we're never really going to be doing that. So those shoulder seasons, April and November, October, where it may get down to the 40s at night, then you're going to need to worry about that a little bit. So there's a quick little tips for that.